Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope that everyone is doing well. So I've had a little bit of an issue today so far. I bought myself a shiny new camera, and I went to try and use it on the stream tonight, and for some reason it's not picking up the green screen. So I have the green screen behind me. But I've currently reverted back to using my old camera, which has the nasty habit of going in and out of focus. And hey, Nils in the chat room. And yeah, for some reason the other camera is just not picking up the green screen properly, and I don't know why. So I went back to my old camera, so it will go in and out of focus. One of the things that the new camera is meant to fix is that I can turn off the autofocus, so it shouldn't do that in and out. But if I can't get it to use the green screen properly, then it kind of defeats the point. So yeah, not had a good half an hour or so trying to get that working, but get there eventually. So how is everyone doing in the chat room? Coronavirus update from here. No change really. Everything's still the same. We're still in the highest level of lockdown, I believe. And yes, it is snowy here, Maurice. We've had a little bit of snow over the last couple of days. So we were out, or I was out with the kids sledging yesterday. They had an immense amount of fun going up and down the hill. There were trees at the bottom of the hill, which was unfortunate. Happy to report that they didn't injure themselves in any way, shape, or form. So that is good. 35 centimeters. That's crazy, Maurice. We have not had that amount. Maybe 2 or 3 at the most. And really, that was only just overnight last night. It was just a dusting of snow with us. Now we've had a bit more. No snow in Hamburg. Everywhere else, though. Okay, so you're lucky then. I'm not a big fan of snow, I'll be honest. But yeah, it's nice to look out on, and we don't have anywhere to go at the minute, so that's good. So that's something at least. But one thing I should mention while I remember about it. So over the last short while on the Cake project, we have been working towards a release of 1.0.0 of Cake. Last night that shipped. So if you want to get the latest version of Cake, it's now at v1.0.0. All the bits are there. Release notes are all on the website as per normal. There's a fairly lengthy blog post that goes through some of the high-level changes and what you need to do in order to start using it. So all the information's there. Go out and have a look and see what you think. Colin is saying it's snowing a lot here in the Central Belt. All right, okay. We've only had a dusting up here in Aberdeen. Last night we had a couple centimeters, and the kids were out sledging again today. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the snow or the ice. They can just both stay away. Augusto saying he's not going to comment on the weather here in Bermuda. Have you got snow in Bermuda, Augusto? No, I don't think you do. They think by the end of the week we will have thick enough ice for Elfstedentock. Did I say that right? Probably not. Elfstedentock. That isn't possibly often. Normally the whole country goes wild. Almost Kraken. I saw a photo from Mateus the other day, and some river or lake beside him was frozen, and they were standing on the ice. It was that cold. I'm not sure if I would trust that, to be honest. Snow symptom almost only virtual stuff. Love it. Right, so the main topic for tonight's stream is so 2 streams ago we set about a task of trying to update and ship the Cake.StrongNameSigner add-in, and on the stream it was all going brilliantly, We got it to a point, we did the update, we started using Cake.Recipe, latest version, we did all the updates that we needed to make, and we were ready to ship it. We didn't quite ship it on the day, but I said that during the week I would ship it. And I did that, I shipped it, and I sent a release of 0.20, and unfortunately, well, thank you, Stephen. So the reason that Stevie's saying that is because just before the stream as well, before I was messing around with my camera, I was helping Stevie with a work-related issue, and it sounds very much like he has got it working. So that's good. Arthur's in the chat room as well. Hello, Arthur. I was just saying that we got to the point where I was ready to ship Cake.StrongNameSigner, and for some reason during the build process, and I'm saying some reason, I'll come on to that. For some reason during the build process on GitHub Actions, which is what we were trying to publish the add-in on, we got a strange version number being generated by GitVersion. So in last week's stream, with the help of Arthur and a few other folks in the chat room, we dug through why GitVersion was doing that. We got to the point on stream where we sent a PR into the GitVersion repository to try and fix the issue, and we left it open in draft state because we didn't have any tests to go with it. So during the week, into the weekend, I set about writing some tests to illustrate what was going on, and Arthur thankfully merged that in over the weekend, and there is now a new release of GitVersion. So what I did yesterday, I think, I went through some of the open PRs that are in Cake.Recipe, and I updated GitVersion that's being used by Cake.Recipe. So now we should have a release of Cake.Recipe that has the new version of GitVersion in it, such that we can ship a 0.2.0 release of Cake.StrongNameSigner. And if all of that works, I want to try and do the exact same process and get the Cake.net version detector add-in updated to use the latest bits, and I want to ship that on Azure DevOps, again to prove out that Cake.Recipe and GitVersion is working the way that we expect it to on each of those CI systems. So what I need to do first of all is, if I do a git tag here, then I've got a 0.20 tag, which is correct, but the build didn't work the way we wanted it to. So I'm going to delete the tag, and I'm going to delete the remote tag, and I'm going to attempt to do the 0.2.0 release again. Now normally I wouldn't do that. Normally I would go to 2.0.1 or 0.2.1, sorry. But in this scenario, because it didn't publish correctly, I'm kind of okay with deleting the tag and bumping the version of Cake.Recipe that we're using and doing the whole thing again. So I'm going to do git tag delete, I think. And then I'm going to delete the 2.0. Okay. And then I'm going to do a git push delete upstream 0.2.0. So that should delete the upstream tag, I think. Okay, so if we go back to our releases now, where we had a 0.20 release, it's now no longer, it's went back to draft because we deleted the tag. So if we go into git extensions here, let's see where we're at now. So what I think I want to do is I want to go back to the develop branch, and I'm going to create another release branch. So I'm going to go back to the develop branch, and I'm going to do git checkout -b release 0.2.0 from develop. That's because it does already exist. I haven't deleted it, but I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to recreate it from my new location. So here, technically it's from the same place, so that's fine. So in this release branch, I want to bump the version of Cake.Recipe that I'm using. So the version of Cake.Recipe that's currently being used in this project. So we have a look in our recipe.cake file. No, thank you, not just now. And over here, we are on 22019, and according to this, we were at 36. So we should be able to change this to 36. And if we attempt the build locally here, should pull that version 36 down. So in here, then 36 is being downloaded there. So we'll let that run. And if this works, so it's updating to a new version of GitVersion, which will be the version that Arthur shipped over the weekend. Now, it will include a fix that, now do I need the latest? So Arthur also released a new version of GitVersion today that fixes another issue. I don't know if I need that one. What was the scenario, Arthur, of needing the, if you're still on the chat room, what was the scenario of needing the 5.6.6 release? I know it was to do with whether it was named master branch or main branch, but I didn't read too much into exactly what was going on there. If I scroll back up here, then did it correctly assert the version number? So it's saying I was doing beta, so it knows that I'm on the beta branch. When you have a source branch named master in the GitVersion.yaml file, because I've pretty much got a fairly standard GitVersion.yaml. I actually don't have a GitVersion.yaml file. I'm just using the default. Okay, so I think I should be fine then, because I'm just using the default, which I'm going to assume is set up the way it needs to be. And I haven't overridden that, so I think I'm going to be okay. Okay, cool. So if this builds, then I think I'll do a sanity check just to see what version of GitVersion got installed. So that's this one. 5.6.5. So that is the one that we want. And again, okay, fine. So I'm going to say in my build, I'm going to add this in, and I'm going to say that this is build use latest version of Cake.Recipe. Save that. And then I'm going to go into git checkout master, git merge no ff from the release branch. And if that works, I'm going to push that to upstream. Okay, moment of truth, or we're getting close to the moment of truth. We go back over here to actions, and in here, then this one we would expect to work, because this one worked before. So the previous master branch build worked, and the asserted version number was 020. So this should all work. He says. So we're building the project, and of the Cake folks that are in the chat room, put your hands up virtually, who's done a build of a Cake Addin on Azure DevOps, because I haven't done one yet, so this will be a new experience. So if you have, be prepared to answer some questions. So like I say, what I would like to be able to do is prove out that Cake.Recipe stroke and or GitVersion can also be used on Azure DevOps. So Augusto's saying no, only on GitHub Actions. Build, sure, release from that. Okay, so that's fine. So Nils, at least Nils is available to ask any questions about. And Pascal's saying I only use it for the PR build. Okay, fine. Stevie's saying I know enough about Azure pipelines to be dangerous. Brilliant. So we're in good company then. Because what I would like to be able to do is do a full build and release on Azure DevOps as well. And that proves out that Cake.Recipe, with its recent changes, is able to do everything that it says it can do. So back up, scroll up here a little bit again. Missed it. Scroll up here. I saw it. So we're building version 0.20. So it knows about it. So that's looking good so far. So what we would then want to do is, let's just push this to the origin so that it's up to date. Beautiful. So assuming all of this builds and goes green, we should then be able to do a publish of the release, which will then retag it, and it will send out a 0.20 out the door. Strongly recommend you use the pipelines GUI to build the pipeline while you're playing around with it. It's much easier. Then you can export the YAML after. So on that note, what I should be able to do, in the form of, here's one I did earlier, we do have some documentation about how to set up the build, the necessary build in Azure DevOps with the necessary YAML file. So I should just be able to copy this and stick it in. So, or from Cake.7zip. Okay, so if we go over here to Cake contrib Cake.7zip, then it's going to have an Azure pipelines.yaml file. So that looks similar. Got the cache in there, Windows latest. Interesting. Is there a reason that we're not doing a matrix build on either of these examples? In the same way that we are on GitHub Actions? Okay, so the build worked on Ubuntu. Sort of want to see this work. I'm so close with Cake.Recipe and GitVersion to have all the ducks lined up and for it to just work. And I want to be able to prove that. So the issue that I committed my change against was actually related to Azure DevOps, and that's kind of why I want to do this follow-up with another add-in running on Azure DevOps to prove out that it all works. Yes, I think we talked somewhere about that and decided that matrix was a special case that we would not demo in the docs. Okay. So you're not doing it in 7-zip for other reasons then? Or am I missing something? I could be missing something. Okay, so it worked on Mac. So we want the Windows build to finish. Okay, so for 7-zip, okay, so you're building everywhere. You're building, the matrix is being done in GitHub Actions. Okay, I see. But you're just doing an additional build on Azure DevOps. Okay, that's fine. Oh, what? Oh, that's maybe okay. That's maybe okay. Maybe. That's maybe on the publish, is it? So the publish may be failing because items already exist. And if that's the case, I'm okay with that build failing. Maybe. Where's the fail? Come on. Where I saw it. The skip already published. Publishing strong name signer to Azure DevOps. That's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that failure. That's reasonably expected. What shouldn't fail is the next one, because the next one will publish to NuGet. Okay, I'm okay with this. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back to that release, and I'm going to tag it again. I'm going to publish it, rather. So I'm going to go publish. I clicked it twice there for some reason. Don't know why. I got a little bit excited. Okay, so we're building on the tag this time. So we're building 020. Let's go in the matrix build again and look at my Windows build and see what's happening. Insert drum roll. Ready to see what's happening. I know that Arthur is waiting with bated breath to see whether this works or not. I had a unit test and everything, so I'm reasonably confident. Let's have a wee look. See how it goes. Dun 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 dun. Building. Because previously what would happen is that it would, when it's checked out on the tag, it would increment the version number anyway. Even though it didn't need to, because it's a tagged commit, it would still attempt to increment, and we would get to 030 something something something. So this time around, when it's on the tag commit, and the SHA of the commit matches the base version of the SHA of the base version, it should just return. That's no, not yet. So there's good reason for that though. No. I'll come back to it. Come back to it. I'm going to watch this version number in the setup because it's about yay far away. Come on. Oh, it's all. Oh, let's go back a bit. Blah blah. .NET Core restore. That up. Get release manager. Oh, it's done it again. No. It's done it again. And I don't understand why. Oh. I'm so confused. Hold on. Hold on. I have a sneaking suspicion. No, it's not that either. The answer is, to your question, Arthur, I don't know. I really don't know. So okay, so we're not going to do the Azure DevOps stuff today because we need to figure out why this still isn't running or still isn't doing what it's meant to be doing. So if I go back to my testing.ps1 file, then I want to do, this will be different now. I would like to think it's different because that'll be a different SHA now. We scroll back up, check out the repository. Initializing, fetching the repository. Yeah, so it's this one. Mother. Hey there, how's it going? Pandemic Watch. Not too bad, thank you very much. Something that I was hoping that was going to work has just fallen on its arse, and it's not working. I'm a little bit confused. So I need to go back to the beginning to figure out why. It does. Unfortunately, it does. I didn't think that was too bad, was it? I apologize. So there's a couple of things up in the air at the minute. Pandemic Watch. The ultimate goal was to ship a new version of a Cake add-in that I work on called Cake.StrongNameSigner. Now, Cake.StrongNameSigner uses an opinionated build system called Cake.Recipe, and Cake.Recipe has a dependency on GitVersion. So GitVersion is used to assert version numbers, and for some reason, the version numbers that are being asserted by that tool are not what I expect it to be. So I'd sent a PR into that project over the weekend in the attempt to fix it, but it didn't work. So I'm going to go back to the beginning to try and figure out why it's not working the way I expect it to. But we were trying to ship a new version of Cake.StrongNameSigner, but like I say, that's not worked, unfortunately. So back to the beginning. Let's do some of these things. Let's recheck out this branch. Indeed, that's a great way of putting it. That's absolutely the problem. Yes. So .NET tool list global. What have I got installed globally? So I'm going to do a .NET tool upgrade GitVersion.tool globally. .NET tool update, obviously, rather than upgrade. So what I'm doing just now is I'm going to update to. You see, that's a bad test. Let's stick with 565 just now. So if we then do this one, if we copy this and we run this, it worked locally. So it worked with 565. 566, sorry. .NET tool uninstall GitVersion.tool globally. .NET tool install GitVersion.tool --version 565 globally. So we're on 565 now, and if I do that again, it's still asserting it. So the test that we did last week is no longer failing in the same way as though it's now failing on GitHub Actions. So what is different about the way it's being run here did that. Cache not found. Okay, fine. So in here, what are the environment variables and things set to? So over here, and this one, the GitHub ref is refs tag 020, and that's what I set over here. Refs tags 020. GitHub Actions is true. But when it came up to here, it asserted 030. Let's have a look at this log again. Let's take this log out into something that's a little bit more readable. Take this. All of this. Copy. Got Notepad++. New file. Paste it. So, creating local tag, normalizing Git repository. Multiple source branches, picking the first one. That's actual commits that it found, and then I genuinely don't know, Arthur. I don't know what's going on. Because that test that I did should have, well, it did work. So where's the first mention of 030 in here? It only mentions it once when it's looking at used. Has anyone got any ideas about how to proceed with this? Because I'm genuinely at a loss. Why is that? That was. That's not the same commit. So confused. What's going on here? Oh, that's maybe, no, that should be the SHA of the commit, shouldn't it? saves them. Why did this actually fail as well? I'm going to say it failed because it attempted to push the NuGet with the same version number. Okay. Where's the actual failure? There. Yeah. So it generated the exact same version number that it did 2 weeks ago. Let's go and have another look at, keep that open. Let's have another look at the code that I added to get to Git, check out master. Oh, it's not going to find master, is it? It shouldn't find it. Git, check out main, git fetch upstream, git rebase main, git push origin. The code change that I made was in the next version calculator. Look, file, recent projects, GitVersion. Next version calculator. So in here, we made an assertion that the perform increment would only occur if the tag semantic version is not equal to the base version semantic version. So if it gets into here, this is, so it's in this function. That's okay, Arthur. I was basically, yeah, I don't know how to proceed now, is what it comes down to. Now, the fix that we put into play was attempting to make an assertion that the perform increment should only happen if this is the state. So it performed the increment. So the increment has happened. So one of two things must be true. Either that the build metadata is equal to null, or the SHA is not equal to the SHA. So is it possible that the tagged semantic version, which is here, it is not tagged? Some logging would be really useful, but we don't have logging, unfortunately. The other thing I was thinking, Arthur, if you are here, is that the perform increment does only happen if we go in here. I actually followed this through the other day. only bumps it if the base version should increment property is set. Now, in the tests that I did, the should increment was true. And that was true because of its, when it establishes what the versions are, which was, where was that done again? Is it in here? No, there was somewhere that it got multiple versions, which was the base for, maybe it was in there. In here? Sure. Yes, in here. When it goes and selects all of the base versions, the one that we want it to assert on, its should increment property is true, which is also the reason that it gets incremented. So we try to add a additional check to make sure that it shouldn't increment. But there is actually already a should increment property on each base version to indicate whether it should bump it or not. So I actually then thought, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing this additional check, and instead we should be making sure that the should increment property is false. But now I'm at a loss again as to what's going on. So where do we get to with this? If I go back to properties, is this still pointing at my project? No, it's not. It's lost it. So we would need to go back into here and say GitHub Actions true, and then GitHub ref. Is that what it's called? GitHub ref equal to this. Copy that in there, and the argument is the path, which is to here. Run this thing again, and also into here. This. Let's see where we get to. So we've got a breakpoint there. So if we run this, that was, yeah. So it'll work this time around, but we can add no cache to prevent it reading it. Yes. So base version. So in here, all versions has 3. That's not pointing to where I want it to point. That's pointing at itself. That's not what I want to do. It is just path, isn't it? .NET GitVersion help. Path is just a directory containing it. Maybe it's just I didn't save it. No cache. On this again. Sure. So if we do this again, so all versions, yeah. So if we look at this git tag, then should increment is false. But if we look at some of these other ones, should increment is true. And should increment is true. So the question then becomes, well, which one does it select as the base version? Right, so the base version is the merge message, it's not the tag. So that's maybe part of the problem as well. Because I would have expected the base version to be the tag at this point. But at this point, we've got a should increment is true. Now it's got the semantic version of 020, which is what we want though. So let's carry on. So we're not on there. Tagged version is not null. And see, why is that not the same? No, that is what we want to do. Yeah, that's done exactly what we wanted it to do. Hey Frank, how's it going? We're not having a good time over here. We're really not. That's the same. So why are they not the same SHA? Ooh. Could it be that it's picked a different one? No, because all of these must be... hold on. Hold on. If we do this again, one more time into the breach, then keep going. Keep going. Let's have a look at each of these versions. Fallback, semantic version, build metadata, SHA is null. So for that one, it's null. Fine. Ooh, so you're telling me that you're working to fix the build I'm trying to fix. What's that now? So are you telling me you are working to fix the build I'm trying to fix? I don't know. What build are you trying to fix, Frank? I'm trying to fix an issue with Cake.Recipe so that I can build Cake.StrongNameSigner. But the issue with Cake.Recipe is ultimately because of a very, very, very fine edge case with GitVersion, and it incorrectly asserting a version number when running on GitHub Actions when it's a tag. That's what I'm up to. So it's a very, very fine edge case. Semantic version, build metadata, SHA is null. Well, so okay, so two things then. So, hey Adil, I forgot to say hello to Adil, I'm sorry. So this morning, or rather yesterday, we shipped a 1.0.0 release of Cake. Now, in your build scripts, you should have been pinned to a earlier version of Cake. So the release of 1.0.0 shouldn't have affected your build. Now, if you weren't pinned to a version of Cake in your build scripts, then there are a number of breaking changes in 1.0.0 which may well have broken your build. So my first question to you then, Frank, is were you pinned to a specific version of Cake, i.e. 0.38.5? And if you weren't, in which case you shouldn't have broken anything. Well, no, hold on. Oh, that's a pinned version of the add-in. Did you also pin to a specific version of the Cake tool? I.e., if you're using the .NET Framework version of Cake, have you committed your package.config file into your repository so that it pins it to a specific version of Cake? Because that's a Cake add-in. Cake.ym. So if this is an open source repository, if you can let me know which one we're talking about, I can certainly take a look. So if we go into here and we look at this one, then its semantic version SHA is null. Oh, but that only gets populated later, doesn't it? So none of these have got their build metadata populated. But if we go back to next version calculator, then that's what we did here. So is it possible that for some reason on GitHub Actions that this build metadata isn't populating with the same SHA that we're expecting? That's the only thing I can think. And Pascal's given you a link there, Frank, for additional information. Because the only reason, Arthur, that this would increment is if... Can I add some logging? Arthur, is that allowed? Can I... But if I do that, how do I then prove it on GitHub Actions? I would need to... Do we currently publish the pre-release versions of GitVersion anywhere? Do they go anywhere other than NuGet.org? But we'll need to release. Only to GitHub. Oh, what does that mean? To the GitHub package repository? So if we go over here, GitHub, Git tools, GitVersion, and that you need to authenticate to that. That's the only problem, isn't it? Okay, I mean, I could. So I mean, what's going through my head just now is to. What's going through my head is to take the nupkeg that I generate locally, put it to somewhere like MyGet, and then update Cake.Recipe to use that package from that repository rather than from NuGet, and see if we can get some more information. The next question becomes, well, what is sensible logging to add to help with this? So the other question is, at this point, do I have a logger? I do. So there's a log. So where does this log go? That log will go to the file that I specify. So in theory, I could do some logging around this thing. The if else branch should be logged. Yeah, so literally I'm going to be in here. I'm going to be saying log.debug. I think log.debug. I want to log this thing as a bare minimum. And I'm going to say, does this have a format on it? Or is it just debug? It's just debug. Fine, I can work with that. So we can say in here that is then equal to that, so that we know what that is. And that's not really helpful. That's why I don't want to really check this in, but this is more for me to know what's going on. Log.debug star tagged. You can also log info so that we have it. You can also log info so that we have it not only now. Okay. Info. I'm going to say log.info. I'm going to say base version number will be no. Checking to see if base version number be incremented. And then in here we'll say log.info base version number doesn't need to be incremented. Okay, so The other thing I guess I want to see is, or what else do we care about? So the build metadata. So we'll get that. If it's something, it'll be, it has the potential to null reference there, doesn't it? Because okay. Now, on the base version, curious as to I don't really want to go to all this trouble and then not trouble, but I don't want to go to all this effort and then not be able to get all the information that we need. So if we come into here, then run through this, then we know that the base versions, I think that's what I want. It's the source. Base version.source is what I want to put out, I think. Log info. Put that in the wrong place. Base version.source. Base source. Tag semantic version have at this point. Tag semantic version. Branch. That could be useful. Tag semantic version. Build metadata. Branch. Okay, is there anything else I should be outputting to try and figure out what's going on here? Anything else that could prove to be useful? What is increment? That's something that we can log. Increment. That's something that can be logged. Can. Hold on. What's this? Yeah. So what's what does that mean though? So let me bring this over. Well, because let me bring this over. So maybe zoom out a little bit. Is that not? Why is that? line 180 and 184. So yes, I mean, so well, let me get this through my head. So the first question I have, Arthur, is with regard to 210. Because the two info statements that are before that, are they references to the SHAs of where those base versions were found? Because if they are, it's the same SHA. So the process that I went through would actually result in two base versions being found, because I have two branches that say release 020. So the process that I went through is I had a merge of branch 020 and then another branch of release 020. So I went through the exact same process. My hope was that it would pick the latest one. Now, based on the error message there, it's saying, or not the error message, found multiple base versions which will produce the same semver, but the semver that's being written out there is 030. Taking oldest source for commit counting, which is merge message. Now it's hard to understand which one it comes from because they both got the exact same version number in it. But I would expect if I go through the process again of creating another release 020 branch and merging it, I would expect to get 3 base version numbers. But if we have a little look in here for found multiple, so it's in base version calculator. So it found multiple there, but the previous log was calculating base versions. Aggregating oldest. But at this point, the max version is being found from there. So it's actually, it's okay, so it's doing it, but it, and this is in the code that I was talking about, Arthur, where it is looking at the should increment property. Because it was in the aggregate that it was then doing. I don't know where it was. I thought it was. Maybe it was another part. Where did I get? I was over here. Why won't that let me do this? Local variable increment. Increment is this. That is a version field. A version field is an enum. Enum, that should go out. Okay. If I do all of these things, and we do a little build here. Will this give me a nutcag that I can do something with? Did you get your build working, Frank? Need to, oh, okay, hold on. Well, I'll let it build to see if I haven't broken anything. Or what is this going to go off and do? Well, let's let it finish now. And then I need to figure out where I can Other message for a reason allow. It seems like a big step. You shouldn't need to. I mean, if you pin to 0.38.5, then the build should continue as it was before. No harm in rewriting everything, obviously. Just seems like a big step to. If you don't need to do that right now, you could limit the scope of the change so that you just pin to 0.38.5 and then work on moving things forward after that. It's in a Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay. Using the Azure DevOps Cake task, or are you just running PowerShell directly? I mean, either way, you can still pin to a specific version of Cake. I was actually looking at that earlier. So in the Cake task, you can pin to a specific version of Cake here as well. So you could set the version attribute. Okay. So that would mean you would need to check in the package.config file then to your repository if you haven't done that already. Or you get on the target pack. Okay, I'll just run target pack once this finishes, assuming that. So the info messages come out in this script. So if we do this process again, then we should see the output just in here. Yeah, we should. Okay, fine. So let's see if we can get something that builds. One or more errors occurred. Failed the unit test, but that's fine, right? So if I just do target equals back. This morning I saw your comment on Gitter and thought, cool, mine is pinned already. I was wrong. And looking for a fix, I saw the new stuff. I see. Oh, okay. There's been a few things into skip unit test. There's been a few changes went in. Yes, Frank. Nice to see you too, or virtually see you. There's been a few additions to Cake. Yes. It's been the 1.0.0 release has been in the making for a while now, but we finally got it over the edge, and it's live. It's released. So to answer, who asked that question? For the reason I haven't or didn't bump the Cake.StrongNameSigner build to use the latest bits of 1.0.0 is because Cake.Recipe itself takes a dependency on a bunch of Cake add-ins. So until all of those Cake add-ins are bumped to 1.0.0, I can't actually bump Cake.Recipe to be using the latest bits. So I can't update Cake.StrongNameSigner to use. Well, I can, but I like to keep things in sync. So I want to have Cake.Recipe building with 1.0 to then build the projects with 1.0. I think I'm maybe just packing more stuff than I need to at the minute, is what I think you're saying. So let's go up to GitHub, into organizations, into Git tools, into GitVersion, and then in the artifacts folder, I'm seeing a pack NuGet running behind me there. So in here, what time is it? Time is 9:09. So I'm going to assume that it's this one. And then in here, there is this one. That's the one I think I want to put up, right? Yeah. So then if we go over here and I go to my get .org. I'm going to sign in and then go over here and get my get password, which is over here. I paste that into there. I'm going to copy that so that I don't. So never test it locally. I mean, at this point, I don't know if I want. Well, want to is the wrong term. Testing it locally, I'm not sure if it would prove anything because the unit test that we have already succeeded, and me running GitVersion tool directly on the same repository in the checked out way that we have worked. So I think I'm just going to push it somewhere, and I'm gonna just add a package here, and I'm gonna put it up onto here. Upload files. So C. Where did I put it? I put it in GitHub, organizations, Git tools, GitVersion, artifacts, 566, NuGet, tool, Shabir, Sabat, go away. Don't need you just now. Okay, so in here, hopefully, congratulations, you've added GitVersion. It may take a second to appear, fine. Refresh this. Still not quite there yet. Need details. So in theory, I should then be able to grab this guy. I should then be able to go over to, and this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. So we would need to go into CD into GitHub organizations, Cake contrib, Cake.Recipe, git fetch upstream, git rebase upstream develop, git push origin, then into here have a wee search for GitVersion.tool, and then in here we would want to modify this to be 566, and I never remember the syntax, so I have to go and look it up, but I'm going to tell it to use a specific feed, lightning builds, preprocessor directives, add-in directive after the NuGet, after the .NET and colon, after .NET and colon, I want to put that, then the package name, GitVersion.tool, and the version. So that's this part here. So I'm specifically stating that I want to use this feed rather than NuGet. So this will override the NuGet one, he says. So if we go back over here, we can say build, use locally built version of GitVersion tool. So we can commit that, and then over here we can do a git push upstream. That will then build, and we should get a new release of the package over here. So when the CI build completes, so we go to app there and we log in with GitHub. Then we go up to here and we look at Cake contrib, Cake.Recipe. So we'll let it build. Then we should be in a position to go back into, well, we need to do our little dance. We need to remove the tag. So let's do a cd into C, GitHub, organizations. I'm losing myself. Cake, contrib, Cake.StrongNameSigner, git tag -- delete 0.2.0, git push upstream, forgotten how to do it again, git push -- delete upstream 0.2.0. That'll delete the tag upstream. Git checkout -b, or no, we probably still got it again. So git branch, git branch -d release, git checkout -b. I'm going to do the same thing again. 0.2.0 from the develop branch. So then in our code, we can go back into here, and this should become that. We didn't merge it back to develop. That's fine. So let's see that updated. If we refresh this, this should now be 37, but it was 36 before. So let's change this to 37. And we'll say in here, build update to latest Cake.Recipe. Let's at least get the commit message. Let's get that done there. Commit that. So then we go over to here and we say git checkout master, git merge no ff release. It's got a merge conflict, which I expected, but let's do a resolution of that. The resolution is going to be the one that's got 37 on it, which is that one. Git is it a continue? Beautiful. Git push upstream. Right. I'm going to stop the build. I'm going to stop that build because we know that one worked last time. I'm going to cancel that one, and I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to go into my releases, and I'm going to resubmit this one. So we'll publish that one. Then we'll look at the output of this one to see what's going on. And let's see if we have some additional log entries. So the line that you pointed out last time, Arthur, where it said there was 2, I fully expect it's going to say 3 this time, because we've got 3 merges of release 0.20. But we should also have some additional log messages that specify where it's getting to. So we'll get a sanity check, if nothing else, to say that it's going to increment it or it's not. Sanity checking at this point is good. And we just have to wait. Okay, and the first round of setup. So the setup here is the one that's going to run GitVersion. Come on. See a bunch of output. Let's scroll back up a bit and grab all of that output, and we'll put it into Notepad++ again. Let's grab all of this. Notepad++ is down here. Okay. So, where do we see the output that were? So the base version doesn't need to be incremented. Okay, so it didn't get to that point. Checking to see. Checking to see. Really? Why am I not seeing that output? Why do I not see the output? What version of Cake.Recipe is being used? We write that out. So it is using 37, which means it should be using the one that we put the custom version of GitVersion into, and we put the tool setting to be from there, 566, over here, here, we go back to packages, and up here, GitVersion is now there. So that should have used that one. Should have used that one. But I'm not seeing anything in the output that would indicate that that is the case. I cancel this run because it's not going to work. Back into the so it sort of has to get into that code, doesn't it? Base version source. So good. Running against branch. So it should find that one, right? Because that was running against branch. Current commit is tagged. So we get into here. Fine. Current commit is tagged, meaning that it should get into here. That was just that was the same thought process that was just going through my head, Nils. So current commit is tagged. We know it's there. So we know that it's got to this line. Then it's doing if context is current tagged is if context.is current commit tagged, then it'll set the tagged semantic version. Now there is a possibility that it will completely ignore all of that, and that is if the current versioning mode is equal to mainline. But that shouldn't be the case. So the question becomes, where is this and where are these lines? So calculating base versions. That is in calculating base versions. Is it in here? And that is called from here. So it got into there. So we saw that one, fine. Fallback base version. So all of this, I think, is from, all of this output is from the finding the base version number. And then end calculating base versions. So there should have been 2 of those. Oh, I see. Okay, so that was the end for that using statement. Fine. 20 commits found. Oh, hold on. 20 commits found between there and there. 6 references from yeah, it got into this, well, it got into this one. Or I'm seeing a log output that would indicate that it's coming from there. So why are we not getting the other infos? Why are we not getting the other info lines? Unless, of course, it's just not using that version of GitVersion. But there's no real way of proving that out either. Unless I was misreading where that was coming from. So Control-Shift-F again. Commits found between. Because actually... I'm not convinced that it's not going into here, to be honest. Go implementation. Here. Using mainline. Okay, so we didn't see that, I don't think. No. Okay, so it's not going into the mainline development mode. So that means that it has to be going into here. So why are we not seeing these sources? Why are we not seeing these source output lines? They're all log.infos, so we should be seeing them because they're the same log info that's running there. So that really points the finger at the package not containing what it says it should. So how can I easily change the GitVersion's there. Maybe because it's not that version. So how do I easily let's do a sanity check. This is the tool that I did here. We do .zip. We extract this. How much time have I got left? 29 minutes. Core app, NA. The one that I've been changing is in core. I got it installed. Do oh, it is. NA core. Let's just sure. Let's put this in here. Let's just make a little bit certain. Version calculation here. Version cal here. Scroll down here, and my log messages are indeed there. Fine. Git tag 13.13.13. Oh, it wants a V. Git tag delete 13.13.13. My current thought process is to tag it with some obscure number and then update and make sure that that is the one that's being used. So if I just run this, will it take the tag? Does it dog food itself? I think it must. So if we go up to here, will I get a 13.13.13? And if that works, you are not going to be sick, are you? I don't think so. Sorry if I'm sniffing. Something's got up my nose. I don't know what's. I do apologize if it's. So if that does indeed generate a v13.13.13, ooh, it looks promising, then I want to. I'm going to push that artifact up to my get, and then I'll update Cake.Recipe one more time, and then is there something in GitVersion that just outputs the version number that's being run? I.e., can I modify the recipe.cake script to output just the version number to prove that it's using that version, or is that in the log? Is that in the log? No, unfortunately not. 5.6.6. No. So what can I run that will output just the version number? So if I do .NET GitVersion Info? No. GitVersion help. Go config, variable, target, diag. Displays a version of GitVersion. So if I do /version 565, that's the one I've got installed. So if I can run .NET GitVersion /version in my recipe.cake file before doing any of this, we should be able to prove that it's the right version. Back over to here, and we go back to here, and we'll add a new package. From upload, choose files, artifacts, 13, 13, 13, you get 13, 13, 13. Upload that. So then in here, GitVersion tool 565, that's going to be 13.13.13. So then in my GitVersion, I want to do something. What do I want to do? I want to do calculating semantic version. Then down here we run GitVersion with, oh, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. What does this do again? Arthur. What does no fetch equal true do? Because if this is not his public repository and we're running on AppVeyor, then we do something different to every other build. Do we want it on? Because we are making sure that the repository has all of the history in it. We do that as part of the checkout process. So now I'm curious as to what this was added for and why. So that would explain why we don't see the output for normalization then. Now I'm wondering whether that will prove, that will interesting. Okay. So what I want to do though is, I want to do a bit of hacking here, which is context.getVersion new GitVersion settings. And then here we're going to say argument custodian or how to do this. I don't think there is. Setting for the there's not. You know what? Let's not worry about maybe overcomplicating it. Let's leave it at that. Let's just see if putting in 13.13.13 works. Testing version of GitVersion. Wrong names. Yeah. Git push upstream. Git push origin. Then over on here for not for GitVersion, for StrongNameSigner. Here I want to do that dance again. What's Nils up to? Nils is working on Cake.7.zip. Git tag delete 0.2.0. Git tag git push delete upstream 0.2.0. Saw that. Git checkout -b release 0.2.0 from develop. So then over here, 37, 38, just been pushed. So back over here, get branch release that. So then in here, we want 38. That's the one that we just built. S alpha 38, alpha 38. Yeah. Up here, build, use latest version. Recipe. Sorry about that. So that's that. If I come over here and I do this one, git check out faster, git merge ff from the release branch, git merge tool. That's going to complain and we want it to be 38. Save that, close that. Git merge, continue. Sure, git push upstream. Come back over here and we'll go back to the action and we'll cancel that one again. Back to the release. Edit the release and publish it. And where do I have an example to do? Oh, I think doing it. Oh, that's building. I can find what I want. Building org. Dang it. Okay, so it's done the GitVersion stuff again. Cancel the workflow one more time because, well, know it's gonna fail. Let's fan this out again. Roll down. Grab this all the way down, but it's still incorrectly asserted. That copy, delete, paste. Again, I'm not convinced that it's actually running with what. I have no confidence that it's running the what do I call it? I've got no confidence that it's running the actual version of GitVersion that we've told it to download. So what I want to be able to do, well, that's what I want to know that, but it doesn't. How would I know that? How there's nothing to output the. Yes, the tool gets installed. Yes, and that's why I was changing. So this over here, where I do the tool settings, this is what I was changing. So I'm telling it to explicitly use that version of GitVersion.tool and use it from this. So then, as part of the Yes, Cake is installing it. Yes, absolutely. So Cake is installing it as part of its build process. Yes. So the test here, well, we could run that part locally, I think. So if we were to go to the strong name signer here, and let's do all of this stuff. Yeah. And let's do the build from here. $38, yep. So then it runs the setup, and then as part of that setup, it'll put GitVersion.tool installed. So it is, so 13.13.13 is being pulled down. So assuming that all the other things being equal, then where do we go to? Let's find out. Let's just cancel this. So if I were to do it has created a shim that is .NET Git version. So if I do .NET Git version here and do version, then that's that one. But if I do tools .NET Git version, then we've got 13.13. So this is our output. So then if I were to do the little dance that I did before, which was in my testing, which is this. I do this, copy that, and put this in here. Fine. So then if I do git version, how do I do the log again? The log, I can put path to log file. So I can do this -log c temp git version.log. Two remotes have been detected. When running on a build server, the Git repository is expected to bear 1 and no more than 1. Git remote -b. Relax to feel is now following. Thank you very much for the follow. Two remotes have been detected. When running on a build server, the Git repository is expected to bear 1 and no more than 1. Git remote remove origin. Take the no fetch off, and then say no cache instead. And then go into ctemp gitversion.log. What are you saying, Mr. Gitversion? Am I going to see my output in here somewhere. So my stuff that I added was checking to see. Checking. Oh. So the tag semantic version branch is nothing. The tag semantic SHA. Oh, because we're not on a tag. Or are we? We should be on a tag. Hold on. Yeah. Are we on a tag? We should be on a tag. No, we're not on a tag. We do a git fetch though. Git checkout master. Git status. Here. Git. Okay, that's better. That will give us the tag. Okay, fine. Let's back to here and run this again. This should have been updated. Why is this null? Why is, well, okay, so I'm seeing the output now. So the reason that it's not running in GitHub Actions, that's another question. But the question becomes, why is the tag semantic version's build metadata empty? Because that would explain why it's not outputting. Or maybe. Because it's going to do the increment. But it didn't do the increment. So it's going into the code that's going to do the increment, but for some reason, the increment is the minor. I'm so confused. Why does this not have 030 in it? It does. Multiple versions found. Multiple versions. Base version is 030. Oh, hold on. I think that's got 2 outputs in it. Run it one more time. Open GitVersion log. So when I'm running locally, it performs the increment when it shouldn't, but it still correctly asserts 020. When it runs on GitHub Actions, it will run the increment, but it does get incremented. There's something still not quite right. And because this is still wrong as well, because it's got the branch name of tags 020 when it should be doing. Okay, let's do one more thing. Get checkout master. And let's do, is it no fetch? No, maybe not. How have I got left? Oh, it's time to go to bed. How do I do a no fetch? Oh, it's no cache. No cache. No normalize. Where's the no fetch? No fetch, it's right there. Okay, so one more time into the breach. So that's wrong. So that could have been a misnomer. No cache / no fetch. Branch name is that, but that's because we're still on it. So git checkout master. No cache, no branch name. Why is it still doing that? Git checkout master. Yeah, I'm a bit lost. I've gone round and round the circles tonight, I think, and I'm a little bit confused as to what's going on. So I'm confused as to why we're not seeing any of the test output on GitHub Actions. I'm confused as to what the process it's following is. Because if I do this again and do one more search for checking, I'm not seeing the output. So I'm not sure what's going on GitHub Actions as to why it's not pulling the handcrafted version of GitVersion. I'm now intrigued as to what's going on with the no fetch argument on here. We're setting that specifically on Git when we're running it on AppVeyor, but we're not setting no fetch when we're running on GitHub Actions. So that could be something that needs to be verified. But at this point, I'm a little confused as to how to carry on. So when running locally, even though I'm on a tag, the tagged oh, now it's got something on it. And they're the same. So why does it have that in it now? Oh, interesting. How did that happen? So if I delete this again, keep it in the editor, yes. If I go back to here and I do no cache, is it the no cache? That's maybe what was causing it to not appear. In which case, base number doesn't need to be incremented is correct. So it shouldn't increment. And what we see is a 020. So I need to see that output on GitHub Actions. So I need to figure out why the manually built version isn't being installed on GitHub Actions. And for that part, I may need to look at the... We don't do any caching of that stuff, do we, on GitHub Actions? And if it does, what does it cache? Cache the tools folder. Path tools. But the key is the hash of the recipe.cake file, and the recipe.cake file was being modified. So even if it did have a cache of the tools folder, it should have broken it. And I think I saw in the output that it wasn't using a cache. Cache tools. Run that. Cache not found for input, and that'll be the hash of the recipe.cake, so it's not restoring them. Okay. So to figure out what needs to happen next is I need to update the recipe.cake file to include outputting of the GitVersion version number so that we can do a sanity check that it is running the version of GitVersion that we expect it to. And if it is, then that will answer what's going on. So more to do here, but for now I'm going to say good night. This was a thoroughly annoying evening of debugging, but I would like to say progress is being made, but I'm not convinced that there is. So I might be in touch during the week, Arthur, to see where we can go to next. But for now, I'm done. So thank you all for attending. I do appreciate it, and hopefully see you with more better news next week. For now, though, talk to you later.